What's up, Scrapyard? It's been a little while since I've given you guys a commentary on how to drop a 4,000 damage game. As you guys know, it's one of the most sought after badges in the entire video game. For a lot of people, it's extremely difficult to obtain one. Not if you follow Scrappy though. Either way, since it's a new season, I'll give you guys new tips. Without further ado, let's get it. Bam ba bam bam bam. Bam ba bam 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 bam. Alright y'all, welcome back. As you guys know, the best place to land if you were trying to drop a high damage game is a high volume area, such as 5 stack and cap cities, which is what you're looking at right now. When it comes to World's Edge, I land here every single game. It does not matter. I go here. A teammate wants to take me other place, I leave the game, unfortunately, because this is what's greatest for my content and what's best for my improvement within the video game as well. So if you find yourselves landing at, I don't know, let's say tree. That's always a POI I make fun of. If you find yourself landing at POIs like tree on World's Edge or whatever other map, you cannot expect to be dropping high damage games, especially as consistent as I am. So landing at a POI like this is good for dropping 4,000 damage games. And I do want to make these tips a little specific for us Loba mains out there, but in general, if you're maining any other legend, you can learn a lot of things from this video. Notice how I reposition myself back up to high ground where I'm safe, where it makes it very difficult for the enemy to push me, especially considering that the Horizon already used her tactical, so there's no way for her to push me on high ground. And that's something that you Loba mains have to start getting used to. Knowing when to disengage and engage from a fight is extremely important, especially for every other person out there, not just for Loba mains. Because at the end of the day, if you don't know when to disengage, you're going to die. And what happens if you die too often? Well, you certainly won't be dropping high damage games, which is something that you obviously want. You clicked on this video because you want to drop a 4,000 damage game. So take my advice when I tell you guys, learn how to disengage from a fight. As you see me do it many times throughout this game right here. Preservation of life is key to dropping 4K games. Knowing when to do that becomes a little tricky. Pretty much it just comes down to, if you're uncomfortable in the fight that you're in, and you can predict that you may die as a result of your positioning, disengage. The enemy is pushing you super hard and you're by yourself, disengage. So many ways that I could tell you how to disengage, but I gotta keep it pretty general. So one thing you notice in a video like this is that I'm always on the move, and that's what I try to do when I'm dropping these high damage games. Especially as a solo queuer who works by himself a majority of the time, and I'm still able to drop these games. I let the enemy push me. More often than not, I find myself backing up from fights so I can put down my ultimate so I can loot up more, and then I can re-engage. Which is exactly what you see me doing right here. You get to take your time as a Loba main. Use your bracelet to escape back to safety, heal up as you need, pop that ultimate down first though, and then loot up, grab what you need, and re-engage. Again, it's all about preservation of life. You're not dropping 4Ks consistently because you're incapable of doing so. It's because you die too often, and you never give yourself a fair shot. I'd be making it to endgame somehow. And if you can make it to endgame and use my farming techniques, there's literally no reason why you can't drop a 4K. It's all in your control. And this is partly the reason why I say Loba is such an amazing character for pubs. If not the best. Because in order to drop high kill, high damage games, you're going to need what? You're going to need loot. Very straightforward. The fact that me as a Loba main can get loot whenever I decide. More or less an infinite supply of loot. So that I can just stay on high ground, do damage, loot more ammo, grab more bats, and then re-engage into a closer combat fight once I've done enough damage. Notice how I'm not fully committing to anything. I do an amazing job at maintaining my space between me and the enemy. And I usually do so from a high ground angle. Patience is key. In fact, I've only said this a few times to my stream, but back in Season 3 when I was just a little jit, I was always good at the game like I said. When it came to pubs, I had this false ego about myself that I was better than everybody, which was true to an extent. I was better than a lot of people back then. So I would just run up in there and do whatever I could, and I died a lot as a result. And then I sat and watched bigger streamers and their playstyle and compared it to my own, and I tried to know any differences between the two. You'll see from players like myself and many other great players, it's all about understanding when to be passive and when to be aggressive. And it's got to be a perfect balance between the two. I take my time with my engagements. If I'm farming a 4K, I do a lot of damage if I can. Always shooting my gun. And I wait until the moment that I have somebody extremely weak, and at that point, I'll go challenge them. Or I wait until I get a knock, and then take the 1v1 at that point. You have to be methodical in your playstyle if you want to drop high damage games. These tips are extremely important, especially again, if you're solo queuing. I don't have support, so it forces me to play smarter. And the things that I've been explaining right now are general, IQ and game awareness tips. Not necessarily how to drop a 4K, but they all go hand in hand with one another. You can have the worst IQ and game awareness in the world, and even then you may get lucky and drop one 4K game in your lifetime, but I'm trying to build you guys into players that do it consistently, so you can drop close to 500 4Ks like I have in my career. It gets to a point where I don't even care anymore. Woo! Dropped a 4K, time to post it on YouTube. And I know that sounds funny, or maybe even far-fetched for a lot of people, but that's the level of gamer that I want you guys to strive for. If you take a look at the clips right now, you see how patient I am. This is something you can't necessarily do for 20 bombs. Of course, killing 20 people in one game is far more difficult than dropping 4,000 damage. But with a 4K and with my experience, I understand that I only need 1 to 2 teams to farm 2,000 plus damage off of them. If you're trying to drop your first 4K game, don't stress out. At this point right now, there are 7 squads left and I only have 1,000 damage. For a lot of you guys striving to get your first 4K badge, I know how difficult it can be to maintain your composure when you're in a situation like this. I just want to get a 4K so bad. There have been so many times where I choked it, and at this point it seems like I'll never get it. So every game you play is stressful. I've been there. I know what it's like. Just calm yourself down a little bit. Understand that you don't need 1,000,000 damage off rip in order to drop a 4K. Again, I'm showing you right here 1,000 damage with 6 squads left, and I still end up dropping a 4K. So this part that you're seeing right here where I'm kind of ratting is actually important. I was live on Twitch during this game. I know that it's a Seer and a Horizon on this team. Horizon is my first threat. So when I'm sitting back there, I'm waiting for that Horizon to use her tactical, and at that point I'm going to brace it to elevator building, knowing that they don't have a Horizon tactic to come push me, so they have to take the long way. And I executed perfectly. Everything that I predicted happened. Just call me Sherlock Holmes. And again, in this whole time where I begin to fight this team, my immediate threat is Horizon. Seer can only push me by climbing up. At that point I'll hear and see him, or he takes a zip line. So I'll get audio cues when that Seer is pushing me. At that point I decide to back up or engage. I'm watching that Horizon. That's my first target. And I want to help you guys with things like this because a lot of you guys get flustered in situations like this, and then you die, and then you can never drop a 4K. What I'm doing right now is being uber patient. I'm waiting for the enemy to make a mistake, and then once they make that mistake, they'll create a window of opportunity in which I'll fight within that window of opportunity. Sometimes it could be the slightest, smallest window, but a good player is going to capitalize every time within the window that they're given. I wait and I wait and I wait. And you can see how weird this team is playing. We call that the scrappy effect. Most players don't choose to play like this, but when they see me in their lobby, they play like this because they're scared, or they play like this because I force them to play like this by maintaining my distance, hitting excellent shots, and being smart with my pushes. You'll see eventually that I kill the Horizon right here. She was very dumb. All she had to do was drop down and Horizon Q up, and I probably would have been dead. I at least definitely would have had to back up. But their mistakes proved to be costly. I held my composure and got several hundred damage off of them. And you'll notice the same patient playstyle with this next fight that I would get into right now. Again, it's important that you win your 1v2s consistently if you're trying to drop 4Ks consistently, especially if you're a solo. If you have a teammate to help you out, then it makes it even easier. Use them as a meat shield. Allow them to let you do the damage, the initial damage that is. If there's any person that you see, and just have your friend there or buddy there to support you. And for the last couple of teams right now, you'll see that I'm 1,000 damage away from a 4K. Didn't really intend on dropping a 4K this game, nor am I trying to farm damage. These last 2 teams are just playing very weird. So I'm being patient and I'm peeking and poking damage as much as possible. By the way, if you're trying to drop these 4K games, I recommend gold armor 100%. It's just too convenient. Again, you'll see how I'm maintaining my separation between me and the enemy. I don't just run in there all willy-nilly. I create space, maintain that space, do damage from afar so that, if I get cracked, I can heal up in a safe spot and then reach out again. And just keep repeating that process over and over again until you can get that knock. And as you see, with some great heads up plays, I'm able to win the game. I just barely cracked that 4K damage, and it's another one under my belt. Can't even keep count anymore. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys learned something, and as always, feel free to ask me any questions in the comments. Make sure that you like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Best of luck, guys.
You are the Apex Champions.
Bam 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 bam. Bam 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 bam. Bam 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 bam. Bam 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 bam.